Basketball season officially tipped yesterday. Dave Richman is here to preview the Bison year. Plus, the Dragons, can they rebound at Duluth? Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the Holy Cow edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning everybody in Sioux Falls. KNBN in western South Dakota. And Inforum.com. Happy September the 23rd, 2025. Another beautiful day. Just rinse and repeat here for weather this week. That's fantastic. Give that time back to sports. Welcome to the show, everybody. On a Tuesday, I am Dom Izzo, host of said program. And welcome to our show on a very busy show. We got some dynamite guests to get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday. Anticipation here of the full final baseball week of the regular season. Another team clinched a playoff spot last night. We'll show you that coming up in just a little bit. We're also closing in on a football weekend. It's homecoming weekend. We talked about it yesterday on the show. North Dakota State back on the gridiron after a week off with the University of South Dakota coming in. And I was going to save the nerd stat for Saturday, but it's too good to hold on to. So doing some digging last night, starting research for the broadcast on Saturday. And going back of how many teams just in the Division I era, and this is because the Bison haven't lost many games in the D1 era, so again, this is maybe not that difficult to figure out, but how many teams have beaten NDSU 3 straight times in the regular season? South Dakota can obviously do that if they win Saturday at the Dome. Now, South Dakota State is the gimme. Obviously, the Jackrabbits done it twice in the Division I era, 2007 to 2009. They won the marker 3 years in a row. And then most recently, the streak that went from 2020 or the spring of 21 to 2023. So that was 4 total games, not counting postseason, just regular season, because obviously the Bison beat the Coyotes in the playoffs of 2023. There's just one other team that has done it. Did you look this up? Do you know the answer to this? I don't want it. If you know it, you can share it. You want to take a guess, Mr. Bedell, on who you think this is? There's one team besides the Jacks that has beaten the Bison 3 straight years in the regular season.
I mean, these two teams have played dynamite games, so my guess would be like Northern Iowa.
Bingo! You got it. There it is.
I feel like that was early on in the Division I era. So they beat them 3 straight
2008, times. 2009, 2010. So there you go. That's when Northern Iowa did it. Infamously, that was the 2009 was the fight game. The great Scotty Miller yelling, "We got to fight!" on the sideline on WDAY radio. 2010 was the game that the Bison quarterbacks got sacked, I think, 11 times in the game. 2008 was the start of it when Craig Bohl said after the words, "We just don't look like they do." That's it. Cal Poly won a couple in a row. Davis won a couple in a row. They couldn't win 3. Illinois State, actually, way back when, Illinois State beat the Bison 2 years in a row. They couldn't do it 3. Illinois State did it in 2009 and 2010. Didn't do it after that. Youngstown State got them twice. Actually, Youngstown got them 3 out of 4 years, again, in the early part of the D1 era, the early years of the Missouri Valley Football Conference for the Bison. Youngstown got them 2008, 2009, and 2011. That was the only game the Bison lost that season. And then the Bison snuck in a 2010 victory at a crazy game in Youngstown. So that's it. So that's the exclusive club. South Dakota's trying. 2 teams in the last 17 years have beaten NDSU 3 straight times. That's what South Dakota can potentially do. And we'll get to that coming up later on in the show. We'll have more on that. Our Bison video blog is up now. If you missed it yesterday, inforum.com. Also tomorrow, little guest tease, Travis Johansson, South Dakota's first-year head coach, will join us on Hot Mic tomorrow morning at 10. So we're looking forward to that conversation on that. So there's your nerd stat tease to get us going here on a Tuesday. Last night wrapped up week 3 of the National Football League season. Dynamite game between Detroit and Baltimore. When the schedulers do this stuff back in May, they keep their fingers crossed that we get some really good primetime games. I could say that, well, for this week, Buffalo, Miami, Kansas City Giants, This one, though, was pretty darn good between 2 teams that have big-time aspirations, and the Ravens can only sit here after 3 weeks and thinking, what could have been? We picked this game up. Derrick Henry doing what he does, running into the end zone for a touchdown after the Lions scored on their opening drive. Make it a 7-7 game. Crazy sequence here. On 4th and goal, Lamar Jackson kind of jump pass, fumble the ball. The Lions get a monster stop. They have to punt, so Baltimore gets the ball back. Lamar hits Rashad Bateman, former Gopher great. We're tied up at 14. Same score in the 3rd. That's a dynamite throw and catch. Mark Andrews scores. It's 21-14. Okay, the Ravens are humming. But back come the Lions. Goff with a brilliant throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown for a touchdown. Just the start of a big night for him. We're tied at 21. Same score. Later in the 3rd, David Montgomery gets loose. Why can't the Bears find players like him? That one goes for 53 yards and sets up the Lions in business. Move to the 4th quarter. Later in the drive, they give it to Jahmyr Gibbs on the pitch from St. Brown. I love the play calling. No Ben Johnson, no needed there for the Lions. They take a 28-21. Here's the play. Much like the Buffalo game, Henry fumbles. Aiden Hutchinson with an all-time punch-out job there. That is tremendous. The Lions recover and are set up. They get a field goal. You can see how frustrated Henry was. It's 31-24 Lions. Now in the 4th quarter, here comes the Detroit defense again. They get to Lamar for a sack. Hutchinson playing like he was the number 1 draft pick a couple years ago. You remember this guy got hurt early last year. Detroit was just a shamble. 4th down. Of course, Dan Campbell's going for it. They hit St. Brown on a beautiful pass from Jared Goff, and it keeps the Lions on the field. The very next play out of the 2-minute timeout, they go back to Montgomery. He scoots through. No one's going to tackle him for a 31-yard touchdown run. It's 38-24. Game over. That guy, Hank Fraley, offensive line coach, got a lot of love last night. You may know him. He is the dad of Bison center Trent Fraley. Got a lot of love in the game last night. Lions win it 38-30. Final score. Goff with another great night. Montgomery was sensational. 12 for 151 and 2. Look at Lamar Jackson's night. Again, if you're going to sit here and tell me before the game that Lamar's going to go 21-27 for 288 and 3 touchdowns, the Ravens are going to win by 3 scores. Instead, they lose. Lions sacked him 7 times last night. You saw the couple turnovers they forced. Derrick Henry's fumbled the ball 3 times in 3 games. 2 of those games they lost. That's a big issue here for the Baltimore football team, who have to play Kansas City next week. And remember, the Chiefs are 1-2, so one of those teams coming out of there is going to be 1-3 on the year. Fun game last night. So out of that now, Lions, Packers, Vikings, all 2-1 in the NFC North. After we were fretting that Detroit is in shambles after they got beat by Green Bay, suddenly that seems like a long time ago. The Bears bringing up the rear at 1-2. That's a monster win for the Lions last night. They just kept coming at Baltimore. They kept coming at Lamar Jackson, which just doesn't happen. Baltimore's got some things to figure out. As I mentioned, they've got the Chiefs coming up next week. So, fun game last night to wrap up Week 3. That NFC North race, again, Lions look like they're not going anywhere. Packers suddenly seem vulnerable after they looked like world champions through 2 weeks, losing to Cleveland. And the Browns' defense is legit. Viking fans are going to see that in a couple weeks when Minnesota plays Cleveland in Ireland. Last thing before we set up the show, we are into the final week of the baseball season. I know for many baseball fans out there that love your Minnesota Twins, the baseball season has been over for you since the All-Star break. But for the rest of us, it's still going. And this is a dynamite final week of the season. We showed it to you yesterday. The American League Central race, which was over at the All-Star break, is not. Cleveland and Detroit start a series tonight where the Guardians are a game back of the Tigers. They were 15.5 back a couple months ago. So you've got that division race up for grabs. The final wild card spot in the National League is a battle between 3 teams. And that's the only playoff spot left now in the National League, because last night the San Diego Padres clinched in a walk-off thriller against Milwaukee. We told you on what to watch to check it out. It was a dynamite game. We pick it up in the bottom of the 10th. Milwaukee had taken the lead. The Padres tie it on a fielder's choice. They have a chance for the win with the bases loaded, but they ground to a fielder's choice to end the inning, and the game goes to the 11th. Jackson Chourio at the plate, 1 out with the bases loaded, chance to be a hero, grounds into a tailor-made 4-3 double play, get the Padres out of the inning, and keep the game tied. So we go to the bottom of the 11th. Freddie Fermin up at the plate. He delivers with a base hit. That will score the winning run for San Diego. 4th time in the last 6 years. The Padres are going to the playoffs. A 5-4 win over Milwaukee. So that's another playoff spot clinched. 5 of them are wrapped up now in the National League. Here they are. The Brewers, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Cubs clinched last week, and now the Padres are in. That's going to be a first-round series. Unless something crazy happens of the Dodgers totally choke in the last week of the season, Padres-Cubs is going to be a National League best-of-3 next week. I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be on WDAY next week because the games are going to be at Wrigley. They're going to play them in the middle of the afternoon. Put it in pen. Padres-Cubs next week on WDAY in the middle of the afternoon. Now, the rest of it, the Reds hold the final playoff spot right now by virtue of a tiebreaker advantage over the Mets. The Mets play the Cubs starting tonight at Wrigley, and the Reds play the Pirates. I have to rely on the Pirates? Really? And the Diamondbacks are right there, too. They're not out of it yet. They are just a game back in this race. That is a wild deal. I have to rely on the Pittsburgh Pirates, of all things. Not good. All right, here's the American League deal. And again, we mentioned Detroit and Cleveland start a series tonight. The Guardians, after losing to the Twins, remarkably, on Sunday, snapped their 10-game win streak. But Detroit is just a game back, or Cleveland's just a game back of Detroit. The Astros, by the way, are tied with the Guardians for the last spot. How about this? We thought Houston was a slam dunk to make it in. They may miss the playoffs. The Rangers are on total life support. Texas is they play the Twins tonight, which is likely going to end for the Rangers here for their playoff hope. So it's right now 2 teams for 1 spot. Toronto with the best record in the American League. How about the Seattle Mariners are going to be the number 2 seed, so they'll get the bye to the division round. Right now, Tigers Guardians could be playing for home field advantage in the first round, and the Red Sox will play the Yankees. I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be in prime time on ESPN next week, because that's going to happen unless somehow Cleveland chases down Boston. And then if you've got Guardians, Yankees, that's not nearly as attractive as Red Sox, Yankees for the opening round. That starts next week. That's the final year of the deal. Those games will all be going to NBC next year. You got something else on Dodgers Padres here for the final week of the year?
Yeah, so obviously the Padres play the Brewers the next 2 days. The Dodgers play the Diamondbacks starting tonight for a 3-game set.
Root for the Dodgers.
And then the Dodgers play the Mariners to end the season. So L.A. could, I'm not saying it's possible, but it could be L.A. Chicago for a wild card, 4-5.
Wow, that would be dynamite too.
If the Padres get hot.
Yeah. Milwaukee's playing for something, though, too. They want to make sure the Phillies don't catch them because Philadelphia has 3 layups to end the year because the Phillies play the Twins to wrap up the season.
The Brewers can help you out with the knocking off the Reds. But
be nice.
As a Brewer fan, I am cheering for them not to get to 100 wins because the last 3 teams that I've won 100 was 2023, and they were all eliminated first round. So I am rooting for no 100 wins.
All right, so as it stands now,
I need one more loss.
Reds Dodgers would play in the best of 3. Padres Cubs in the National League. It would be Guardians Tigers, and then Yankees Red Sox. That would be the first round best of 3. Those go to NBC next season as ESPN's deal officially ends. Sunday Night Baseball is done on ESPN with that last game on this past Sunday, and then it all transfers over to NBC starting after the opening round is done. It's fun. If your team's in it, man, it's a lot of fun to follow. We got a packed show coming up for you here today. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us at 9:35. Mike was down at U.S. Bank Stadium on Sunday. We'll get the recap from him of Carson Wentz's Vikings debut. Viking fans' thoughts on how Carson played, and now he's going to be the guy again. He's going to be the guy, at least for the short term. McCarthy's not ready to go. The question is, when do we see J.J. McCarthy again? We'll talk with Mike about that coming up at 9:35. It's 10 o'clock. Look at that photo. What is that photo from, like 2008? Dave Richman will join us in studio.
2005. Thanks, GoBison.com.
That is awesome. He will join us in studio. As we mentioned, it was opening day of college basketball practice yesterday, so we'll visit with Dave about the 9 new players on the Bison men's basketball roster for 25-26. That'll be fun coming up at 10. And at 10:35, Steve Laqua will join us his usual Tuesday time slot. Dragons lost for the first time on Saturday to Wayne State in a crazy game there. Now they got to go back to Duluth. I don't know who they made mad in the schedule office because remember they won the miracle game at Duluth last year at the Horn. Now they got to go play again on the road in a tough deal there. So we'll talk with Steve coming up about that at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday. We'll take our first break. We come back. Favorite topic on the show, not uniforms, scheduling, and a neat idea that could potentially help the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Back on a Hot Mic Tuesday right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Busy night tonight on the high school volleyball court. We've got 2 matches for you. Here on Extra, Wadena Deer Creek will take on Hawley. Coverage begins at 7:30 on WDAY2. We've got Thief River Falls and DGF. High school volleyball tonight. You can watch it on Extra, WDAY2. You can stream it all as well on our fabulous app, WDAY Plus, which has everything there, including Tim Polisek's press conference coming up later today. Check it out tonight, 7:30. We mentioned that we have Dave Richman coming in studio here in about a half hour. If there's one way, Eric, we can get him really mad, which would be awesome, is Joe Lenardi has his first bracketology out for the season. On it, he has, I have no idea why they do. They do it because people like me click on it. That's why. But you look on it here, South Dakota State is the representative, the automatic qualifier of the Summit League, was a 14 seed. Maybe the cruelest cut of all has them in San Diego. That would not be a bad road trip for the NCAA tournament. The regional sites, by the way, this year, Oklahoma City, Portland. Bison have been out in the Pacific Northwest for the NCAA tournament before. They went to Spokane and Seattle. Greenville, they've been there. Or Columbia. Columbia is where they went when they played, right? I can't remember. Columbia or Greenville. It was South Carolina when they played Duke. Philly, let's go. St. Louis. I've never been to St. Louis. Buffalo, New York. Let me tell you something about Buffalo, New York in mid-March. Not great. I think the Jacks went there a couple years ago. It was the year that they were unbeaten in the Summit. We thought they would win, and they got blasted by Providence in the first round. Let's see, a couple others. Tampa, I do that. Mentioned San Diego. Yeah, that'd be all right for first-round sites. Let's go. I'm not sure if we're going to get into that coming up later on. Dave joined us, as I mentioned, about a half hour. Okay, later tonight, we're going to feature this on What to Watch. The SEC is going to have, because you got to fill programming on the network-specific channels, the schedule format release for next season. SEC, maybe remember a couple weeks ago, announced they're going to 9 league games in 2026. The ACC just announced that yesterday. It's all lining up to expand the playoff, which we could hear about it sometime later this week. They're going to go from 12 to 16. But I want you to look at, this is what the SEC is doing. Remember, the SEC has, 16, 18 teams that they're going to divide the formula up. You play 3 opponents every year, what they call annual rivals. And then 6 rotating opponents. Wherever they can, and they protect their rivalries as well, which they have to. You got to play the Egg Bowl, you got to play the Iron Bowl. You're never not going to do that. Florida and Georgia are going to play in the outdoor cocktail party, all that stuff. So I was thinking of this in relation to the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And now, granted, it's way different because there's only 10 teams, right? But NDSU, UND, USD, SDSU, if you're going to do your 3 protected rivals, that's easy, right? Because they're not going to go to 9 games, which means then you play everybody. But then I was thinking for the other teams in the league, like let's take, for example, Southern Illinois, right? Who would Southern's protected rivals be? Well, to me, Northern Iowa would be one. They played forever. That would make a lot of sense to me. Illinois State is another. They've played a ton of games against one another. Mo State would have been considered there, but now they're not in the league. So I put Illinois State. I would put Northern Iowa in there, and probably Youngstown. You actually go back and look. Southern and Youngstown have a really nice history against one another when Youngstown was humming as a program. So that's an easy one. Now do a hard one. Indiana State. Who would Indiana State's be 3 protected rivals? One of them would be Illinois State. They play them every year. They've played 100 times, right? Honestly, you're going to roll your eyes at me? Murray State would be the other because that's an easy trip. Terre Haute and Murray are not that far away from one another. That's a bus trip. So that's another. Who's the third for Indiana State? It would have to be Youngstown, I would think. Those would be the 3 there. I think it's intriguing only if the Valley decides ever to expand, because I look at, for a long stretch up until 2023, the Bison played Youngstown State every year, which made no sense to me. No one could explain this to me, how the 2 teams that were furthest apart, and this is prior to North Dakota coming into the league, that North Dakota State, Youngstown State played every year. Even when they started rotating teams, when South Dakota got into the league and we had more teams than not to be rotated off, especially when Murray came in. Like, what? So, and now the Youngstown is back on the schedule this year for the first time in 3 years. But Northern Iowa came off the schedule. Like, that to me, should never happen for NDSU. The Bison should always play Northern Iowa. And again, going back to our topic off the top of the show, the UNI is one of the two teams that's beaten NDSU 3 straight times in the regular season. That's a different age. Obviously, Northern Iowa is in a different state right now, but the Bison went a couple years they didn't play Northern Iowa. Like, what? That shouldn't happen. And it was actually going to be longer prior to Mo State leaving the league because they were going to be off the rotation for 2 full years. And then the schedule makers had to adjust it when the league went down to 10 schools. But I like that scheduling philosophy in football. And it's weighted to the Dakotas, obviously. But if you were to say you could only play 2 teams every year, well, the Bison obviously are going to get NDSU or USD or UND and SDSU every year, right? UND would get the Bison and probably the Jackrabbits, I'd imagine. USD's 2 would be South Dakota State, probably UND, I would say on that, if you were to trim it down to 2. I like when you have to choose on that. But the rotation part is the one that's intriguing to me. And so, like tonight, SEC fans are going to flip their lid on when they see who they have to play as part of the rotation on that. Like for me, Texas and Oklahoma have to play every year. That should be a protected rival there. But in the new format of the league, like Texas and Alabama should have to play every year. I know that's not fair, but why go to a league of 18 schools if the top schools aren't going to play one another? Like Michigan and Oregon, have they even played yet in the Big Ten? Like that should happen. Ohio State played Oregon last year. Great game. That was in Eugene. That, frankly, should happen every year. If we're trying to get the best teams into the whatever playoff we're going to have, they should play every year. I don't want to see Maryland play Washington. Nobody does. That's a rotation on that. But we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic on how this plays out tonight. You got something before we go to break here?
So this may be like a dumb question, but why don't we go like in these bigger schools now that everybody's like so geographically spread out? Why don't we go like back to divisions?
Well,
like because now I mean the Big Ten is because the only conference I really paid attention to. The leaders in the Legends division.
Oh.
Now you can I know way back when. Now you can add Oregon, Washington, and you play those guys like you play your games every year, and then you play for a Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I don't think they went. All the conferences did away with it. The Big Ten, I think, was the first to do away with the division stuff because it was so heavily weighted. Because the West Division was always so much worse than the
Ohio
East
State
Division. Because
killed
Ohio
everybody.
State and Michigan was always on top. You know, the West would get to the Big Ten title game and lose by 40 every year. I don't think those days are coming back. But you are going to have it where you're going to have Ohio State, Michigan play the final game of the season, and they're going to play the next week in the Big Ten championship. That's coming. I just look for that. I can't wait for people to freak out over that one.
Or a playoff idea. Like, if we're going to expand to 16 and the Big Ten and the SEC is going to want to get 4 and 4, why not one plays 8 on championship weekend? Just get rid of the championship game.
Yeah.
One play 8.
That was the idea.
2 play 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. But then what are you going to do when 8 beats 1 and one's like, well, why am I not in it? Crying a river.
Well, all the ideas are out there. It's why college football right now is the second most popular sport out there. All right, we're overdue for a break. We're caught up here. We come back. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us, give us his overview of Carson Wentz's debut down in the Twin Cities. It's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a beautiful Tuesday. Back after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
All right, it is 9:35. Our guy Mike McFeely joins us. Bat and leadoff as always. You know who's hitting behind you, though, today? You see who's coming in after you today?
Carson Wentz?
It is not Carson.
Kevin O'Connell?
see, one David Richman is coming in studio right after you.
You know,
so like ships passing in the night here.
So here's the dealio: is I once in a while I'll check on Twitter just to kind of. I like to follow Bill Connolly from ESPN with his chart of all the blah blah blah, and I noticed the tease you put up, or somebody put up, Eric or you, or put up on Twitter, previewing my appearance and Dave's appearance on this show. And the question I had this morning at 6:30 as I was drinking my coffee was, which photo is older? Is it my photo, which is about 10 years old, and Richmond looks like he's in high school?
I know.
And so
that's what we talked about off the top of the show.
Yeah, it's like, what? I mean, I'm going to give
Eric
you.
said 2005.
I'm going to give you my high school
there
graduation
it is.
picture.
How old's that photo?
Dave's?
No,
yours.
Oh,
it's 10 years old.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it is. No, when
you came back?
When I returned to the forum, shut up, Eric. Could the people hear what he said?
No, they
okay.
couldn't
Well,
hear
just trust me on this. You'd tell them to shut up too. Yes, I had that.
Well,
photo,
Laqua too, by the way.
I had that photo taken when I returned to the forum. It was 10 years ago in October that I made my triumphant return to column writing.
Dave.
But Dave wasn't legal to drink in that photo. Look at that.
Oh, it's so good.
He didn't have any of the kids yet. He had nothing. It's like he was single.
Yep.
Just came from science.
Man.
Okay. Hey, Tim. What, those cut-ups? Hey, Miles.
Oh, man. That's good. Great to see you as always. You made the venture down to Minneapolis.
I did.
And saw the Vikings-Bengals game, the backup bowl with Jake Browning, who looked not great. Vikes defense looked pretty good. Give me your appraisal of Carson Wentz's debut in Minneapolis.
I think it's all been said and written by this point. He looked good enough, right? I mean, he didn't screw anything up. That's what everybody keeps saying, and I wrote it on Saturday or on Sunday. I wrote it again yesterday. I've checked the Twin Cities media types, and basically it's, you know what? He was fine. Carson Wentz was fine. Didn't screw things up.
Yeah.
Sort of seemed to calm the offense a little bit. I don't think I'm making too much of the fact that he got the ball to Justin Jefferson 5 times, and his first completion was to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And
smart.
It's when Justin Jefferson lines up to your left, it probably should go, okay, he's over there now.
Get him the ball.
TJ Hawkinson, it was a sort of a talking point against the Falcons that TJ Hawkins, I don't think, had a catch against Atlanta.
No.
He had 5 receptions. And so just that veteran presence, the ability to read the defenses, the ability to know where guys are going to be or supposed to be, and then make the throws. And so I thought it was pretty much all good. He took a couple of sacks, which he admitted after the game. He said, I need to be better there. He tried to run around the end on one play in the first half, and he's not Carson Wentz circa 2015 anymore. But all in all, it's good, and it's setting up now to be what I wrote about yesterday and everybody else is talking about as well. It's setting up to be a quarterback controversy.
So O'Connell, yesterday at his press conference, Kevin Seifert asked him from ESPN about, well, what is going to happen if Carson keeps playing like this and JJ's ready to go, and he said we don't need to have that discsion right now. So that's not a no.
It's not a no.
It's not that JJ's the guy whenever he comes back.
He left the door open.
Yeah.
As he did on Sunday after the game, when we were asking him questions, and he just kind of said, well, he's certainly earned one more opportunity.
Correct. Yep.
And that's because McCarthy presumably is not going to be
all the
healthy.
Reports say he's not going to be ready till after the bye week.
Correct. And the easy plan is just have Wentz play the next 2 games. If he absolutely stinks next Sunday against the Browns and throws 3 picks, and McCarthy is okay to play, then the London, then maybe you have to have the discussion. But if Wentz just does what he needs to do, and I keep saying O'Connell keeps referring to him as a point guard.
Yes.
So there were likely conversations between the head coach and the quarterback, and just, hey, you don't
overdo it.
You don't need to be gunslinging Brett Favre out there. Just don't turn it over.
Yep.
Don't make stupid mistakes. Just when in doubt, just eat it.
Don't be like Jake Browning did on Sunday against the Vikings.
Don't scramble and then all of a sudden decide to fling it downfield and have it tipped by Harrison Smith.
But
and
that's
have it
what's
returned.
happened with Carson previously. I mean, if you look at the stops that he had at the end of the term in Indy, end of the term in Washington, certainly in Philadelphia, that's what he was
threw
trying
a
to do.
left-handed pass.
Yep.
I mean, so
in the end zone.
Yes. And he got hurt, frankly, the first time around, running for the end zone and diving for the end zone, which that's the way he played in those days. But, which was sort of,
threw a left-handed pass. I forgot that one.
Carson said after the game on Sunday, I've always been that way. I've always tried to just distribute the ball. It's like, I've never tried to be the playmaker. And I'm kind of going,
I don't think that's accurate. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
You threw it left-handed?
Yeah.
And so that's the mantra is he's just the point guard, and that's all. If the Vikings defense plays the way that Brian Flores wants it to play, and it's healthy, and they can run the ball the way they did, that's all Wentz needs to. That's all McCarthy needs to be.
Yes.
I mean, the Vikings would have won the game with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback because he wouldn't have had to do anything.
Cincinnati's defense is bad.
Right. They ran for 150 yards, and what's his face ran for 150.
Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason ran for 115.
Yep. If he plays well and then they go back to JJ, has he got enough on his resume for a team to say, we want you to be a starting quarterback again? Talking about Wentz.
Oh, in the right situation, like in a situation like this, yes. But I don't think he's, just at this point of his career, I don't think that he's ready to take over like a rebuilding team and be the guy that has to be the guy.
The guy.
And Kevin O'Connell also made reference to, at this point, he knows what he is at this point of his career, which is, okay, that's good.
Yep, exactly.
That's good for the Vikings.
Realization is good. Self-awareness is good on that front, especially for him at this point, because I think when he was on the show last February, I still got the sense he believes he was a starting quarterback. I think he said that to me as much, that I'm a starting quarterback in the NFL, and obviously he didn't have a job until the Vikings called him.
Well, and I still
go with it before training camp was done.
And I've had indications, and I've written this and talked about it, is I think one of the reasons that he didn't sign with somebody was because he was waiting for an opportunity to be a starting quarterback, whether through injury or performance, and that phone call never came. And so when the Vikings then called and said, Wentz had opportunities to be a backup prior to signing with the Vikings. And O'Connell referenced that as well on Sunday, which has never been made public before. Although, again, I had a pretty good inkling.
I think we had a sense,
to my people that I know, that he had opportunities, but he said, no, I want to, unless it was with Kansas City or something where he's going to be a backup to Mahomes and he could sit there and go, wow, I can win a Super Bowl or whatever. But I think he wanted to be a starting quarterback, waited for the opportunity. It never came. He signed with the Vikings. Now he's getting the opportunity because of injury.
And try to make the most of it.
And he might, if things go according to the best laid script, he could remain the starting quarterback because if the Vikings are 3-1 coming out of the bye, or they'd be 4-1.
4-1,
4-1 coming out of the bye, and he's played well. Like, let's say he goes over to Europe and he plays well, not just placeholder, he plays well. Then, how do you?
Then what do you do?
If you're Kevin O'Connell, how do you go? And if Justin Jefferson has 6 catches a game in those, I mean, how do you go back to the locker room if you're 4-1? If you're KOC and go, oh, by the way, we're taking out the guy that's won us 3 games and played well and is getting the ball to JJ, and JJ's happy.
And now Jordan Addison's back too.
Addison's back, and so Justin Jefferson. But the key is Justin Jefferson.
Absolutely.
He's the man. You got to keep him happy, and he wants the ball. So then you're going to go back to the guy that never threw him the ball, and that you lost a game to Atlanta and you stunk, and you should have probably lost 2 games.
Probably should have lost to the Bears.
So that's really hard. And by the way, it doesn't make any sense to me that everything in sports is win now. Like what are you trying to build? Like
and the Vikings are built to win now.
I mean, it's different if you have a bad team but the Vikings are pretty good.
Yes,
and if you have the opportunity to win now,
to go for it,
and to at least make a run. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team yet, but I mean, why would you? I mean, just win now.
Yeah, what are you going for? Right, what are you waiting for?
Give McCarthy the team next year.
Yep,
or the year after. Who cares?
Aaron Rodgers sat for what? 4 years,
But then,
right?
as I wrote today, or in my column that ran yesterday, you're admitting you made a mistake. If you're O'Connell and the GM
By sticking with Wentz.
By sticking with Wentz, you're admitting you made a mistake by turning the keys over to McCarthy.
Because then why didn't you sign Darnold?
Because why didn't you re-sign Darnold, or why didn't you sign Aaron Rodgers?
Yep. Go for Aaron Rodgers, right.
I mean, if you thought, okay, all we need is a quarterback that you can depend on, then you go, well, McCarthy's the guy. He clearly is not like the finished product. I'm not saying he can't be a great quarterback, but he's clearly not the finished product.
No. It's going to be fascinating to see next couple games. Early starts, 8:30 for the Vikes Steelers coming up on Sunday.
If Carson goes 11 for 25 and throws 2 interceptions on Sunday and they lose to the Browns, then you go, well, okay, then just go back to, I mean, then it's not a question either.
Nope. Right. Then you made the decision for him.
Yeah.
Then
this decision's been made. Then
whenever he's ready to go, he's going to play again.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's break. We come back. We'll chat the Bison Conference opener with South Dakota. Wrap up our first hour. Back with Mike right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Dave Richman coming up in a few minutes. Bison men's basketball coach will join us. NDSU open practice yesterday. Bison football, Michael, back playing on Saturday with the University of South Dakota coming in. We were just visiting off air. How this game could play out is, as you mentioned to me, one of 3 ways. The Bison can blow them out. Could be a close game that NDSU wins, or South Dakota comes and wins this game again.
Yeah, and so it's, I think that people are rightly questioning how good South Dakota is after they got just stomped by Iowa State. They lost to Lamar, should have lost to Northern Colorado and eked it out in overtime, and then they drilled Drake, which who cares?
They gave up 21 to Drake. Is that anything?
I didn't pay attention. Don't care about those PFL games. It's just stupid. It's a glorified Division III program. That's all those PFL teams are. And NDSU plays games against them too, so whatever.
Bison have St. Thomas at the end of the year.
Yep, absolutely. So whatever. But I'm curious to see what. My guess is South Dakota is going to be better than what they showed against Lamar and Northern Colorado, just because. And I thought the head coach from SEMO, Matukowicz, made an interesting comment after the game. Jeff asked him about, where FCS is, and Matukowicz said, well, it used to be you could kind of read your team after 3 games.
Yeah.
And he said now maybe it's more like 5 or 6 games because there's so many new faces and so many transfers. And so that sort of, I went, yeah, that's probably about right.
Yep.
And so maybe South Dakota, because it has so many new faces and new linemen and just new bodies, that maybe it's going to take them 4 or 5 or 6 weeks to get to where they need to be. I still don't think South Dakota's as good. I know they're not as good as they have been the last 2 years, but their quarterback is a veteran guy, and that's always important.
Yep. Who's won in Fargo before?
Yeah, yep. With an entirely different team,
correct.
By the way.
Yep.
And
different
NDSU's,
offensive line, the whole 9 yards.
But NDSU's a different team as well. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. This running back, it seems like they can run the ball okay. And again, can you judge from Northern Colorado and Drake?
Right.
I don't know. But this LJ Phillips looks like he's got some speed and got some can break some tackles and go.
Especially because he couldn't run the ball against Lamar, though. That was the thing.
Lamar that was a weird game. I watched much of that game, and it was South Dakota just looked like disengaged and just
not interested.
Just didn't look like they were ready to go, and they just didn't look good at all. I still question if NDSU can stop, like any other game, if they can stop the run and make USD throw, then it's a whole different ball game. Then it might be a blowout for NDSU. But we'll see. I think it's going to be closer than people maybe originally thought it was going to be.
I agree. I think so too.
Do we have security in the building? Because I'm in the middle of a golden
soliloquy answer.
Yeah.
Wow! Look at this guy. We're on the air.
Here.
You know that, right?
This is live television. So, did you see the photo that they put up of you and I? Eric, put up that photo again of
pretend to like each other.
We have a guest
of Richman and I.
We have so we do our guest lineup, right? So we do it each day on the show because we put it out on social media, right? What is this photo from?
Oh my
I mean,
The
mine
only
is
thing that's missing. I used to have puka shells that I used to wear.
but I know mine is 10 years old. And I look like I've been down a few miles of road in the last 10 years. So
Am I?
I mean, you
Yeah, how old are you in this photo?
Is this your prom picture? Who'd you go to prom with that year?
I can't say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get in trouble on that one, right? Oh,
My
man.
God.
Yeah, that's pretty
See you
good.
guys.
It's good to see you.
Starting early this morning.
Shut up.
Yeah, last thing before we got Dave coming in the studio. I guess you're done, so getting pushed out of the way.
South Dakota's really good. It should be a good game, and the Bison, I think, will win a close one. Thank you.
Let me ask you, though, the game, Peyton got in and ran for a couple scores in the playoff game 2 years ago against USD.
Yeah.
He didn't play, obviously, the game last year because he was hurt. Is that a thing? Because Cole did that in that game with the Coyotes a couple years ago?
I think that in certain games, like they did with Carson Wentz, like they did with Easton Stick, like they did with Trey Lance, I think you unleash your weapons when you need to unleash your weapons.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean, I don't think they're going to run Cole Payton 10 times against Tennessee State because you don't need to, but against the mighty Yotes.
Might we do that?
And I get the sense that Tim Polasek, it's really hard to read him sometimes. But I think that he's going to have a little edge about South Dakota.
You already had it last week.
That's what I mean. I think it was pretty obvious that the Bison are going to be focused on winning this football game. And that's not been a problem under. I think there's times under Matt Entz, with all due respect to Matt, who I like, and by the way is 4-1 now, Fresno State, and is going to be 5-1 after beating the hell out of Jeff Choate on Saturday at Nevada.
That's Nevada, yeah.
Yep. They're going to relive the whole pregame thing against Montana State when Entz and Choate were barking at each other because, well, whatever.
I forgot that. Yes.
Where was I going with this?
About Polasek has inspired.
Yes. Yeah. They sort of came out in some games under Entz and just kind of went like, okay, like, you know, and they haven't done that quite yet under Polasek.
Have you brought him into the locker room yet? Talked to your guys? You might run.
Play basketball. We don't need any more fouls.
You don't need to run through a brick wall.
Drag them to the deep end, and then we're going to do the.
All right, we got to roll. Thanks for coming by, bud. Good to see you as always. Getting bumped out of here. It's like Johnny Carson getting ripped off the shelf. We'll break. We come back. Dave Richman will join us here to get us ready for some Bison Hoops. Hour 2 begins right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants. And
my wife will tell you she wants to burn mine. People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They watch it.
Yeah.
Play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy. But you got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love.
Hey,
will you
doing
come
that
with?
game.
That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so two things are happening. That one, people are watching your show, listening.
Yes.
Right? That caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
There it is. You get to see it in person. The man is here. After you bump McFeely out, Dave Richman joins us, NDSU men's basketball head coach, as the Bison opened practice yesterday. So a belated Happy New Year. Ready to rock and roll. Good to see you.
Yeah. Either McFeely's got a small head or I got a big head because I had to
adjust
the headphones quite a bit.
It's great to see it. Now we did not stay to get video evidence of you in the swing off a couple weeks ago on the softball complex. How did that go?
That's a great thing that you guys did not
I was upset.
stay.
I wanted Sam to stay up there and get some video of you in that.
I was just actually just on my way up here today. I was just talking to Darren Mueller about it, and I'm like, did I finish last in that? He's like, no, you didn't finish last. I'm like, oh, good deal.
Who was last? Can we divulge that?
I didn't ask, and I didn't even ask if I was second to last. All I cared about was I wasn't last. And in Jerice, and she told me going into it, so I can't blame her.
When's the last time you actually swung a softball bat?
Exactly.
I'm curious on that.
Yeah. Well, they have this juice bat.
Oh.
And she told me about it the whole time, and I'm going to be Mr. Hero. I'm going to go up with the regular bat. That didn't work. So the last 3 or 4 swings, I swung the juice one, and there's a reason why they call it the juice bat. But like The irony of all that is, like, of all the days the wind was blowing in,
right?
not a huge wind, but like, right? I need some more self-confidence, okay, Mother Nature. Put that thing behind me.
It's a big week, obviously. You start practice this week. It's homecoming. How much for your basketball team, because this football gets a lot of lion's share, you involved with homecoming stuff and being
football? Has football started?
Evidently, something's going on with that. That you're integrated with your team to make sure you're involved with the festivities going on this week.
I think that's the part that you don't want it to be lost, right? I mean, we are in new day and age, and a lot of transformational transparency, and guys coming and going and all that. But I still go back to one of the many things I learned from Tim Miles was the legacy piece, and just having a deep-rooted respect and understanding. Matt Larson talks a lot about Bison pride, Bison spirit, and to get that really that feeling. It was really cool for us a couple weeks ago because 14 guys, I can't tell you how many of them really never experienced the fall recruiting process and tailgating and Bison football and just that awesome traditional feel of what NDSU is about. I mean, it is a real traditional college. This isn't an urban commuter school and things like that. Like the weekends around a home fall football, and in particular now this coming weekend with homecoming, are great. And so, we're going to take every opportunity we can to entrench ourselves with those things.
I know last year was a big deal because Woody and Winkleman were going into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame, that you got everybody back together, which was a really neat deal. Brian Sanford, basketball stud, is going to go in this weekend to the Athletic Hall of Fame. So we're looking at video of practice. It's so different now, I think, for fans, Dave, that don't know that you get time with these guys, because I was up there with you in July. Can you dissect that, of how much time you get during the summer with them, that it's not like day one, I haven't seen any of these guys since last March?
Yeah, no, it's a lifestyle, Dom. It really is. And the quickest, best way I can sum it up is spring, summer, and fall are pretty much identical. And when I say that is spring, summer, and fall, we get 8 hours with them a week. And 4 of those hours, no matter what, I don't care if you're coming in here at 24, 25, whatever, 37, who knows what ages we're going to at this day and age. But this is always going to be a developmental program. And so spring, summer, and fall, the priority is really set by Coach Miller and what they're doing in the strength and conditioning, nutrition piece of that. And then we'll feed off of that anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 hours of basketball, ball in hand. But you're right. In the summer now we can have 8 hours, 8 weeks with them. We only use 7. It's extremely beneficial for us. I think we spend the first 3 weeks of removing name tags and figuring out who can do what. And then, the back half of the summer, we kind of ramped it up a little bit into who we think we're going to be, who we want to be. A couple weeks off, we slowly entered, this fall, that first week or so. But then, we've been going, probably 2-3 days a week with practices. And then, officially we started. And I told the guys Sunday night before we got going, especially the freshmen, they've got this nervous anxiety. What is practice going to be? I'm like, hey, gentlemen, this isn't going to be anything really different than you've been doing. It's just now about it's going to be every day, maybe a little bit longer, and just trying to get them to wrap their head around those things.
I always appreciate your transparency on the show. I'm interested the conversation you had with Damari Wheeler-Thomas, because last year he opted a redshirt. He was not healthy. Mm-hmm. Can you give us the background on the conversations there of him deciding to come back? Because I at least from what I had heard, that maybe there was he might decide to opt out and maybe leave. Can you give us the backstory on that?
I never necessarily heard the leave part. And again, I'm not sitting here Dom naive to that, but him and I never really got specific with that. Now he being all the guys, there's conversations going on all the time. There's agents, there's sharks, there's snakes, whatever you want to call them. But Damari, coming into us before he even played, had a very, very traumatic injury where the young man's got a rod.
He shattered his leg, right?
Almost. He's got a rod put in there, and he went about it. In fairness to him, that first year, really, I mean, his first real. Even before practice was at Kansas, right? Like what an eye-opening experience, and he handled that well. And I thought he had a very good sophomore year, but I think some of it too was just some mental hurdles and roadblocks that he was going through. Of he would feel this pain or that pain or this soreness, and then you start to go back down that rabbit hole of do I have something going on? And out of all the things, do I want him to play? Do I want him not to play? Like it is so important for us to have trust. Damari to trust me and me to trust Damari. And the last thing I'm going to do is put somebody out there that doesn't trust themselves in those situations. And he was very transparent about that. And maybe a little bit, especially now that we do have him back, a blessing in disguise. Damari has got to become a better basketball player. He's got to shoot the basketball a little bit better, find different ways to get other people involved. And for him to kind of step back a little bit, take a 30-foot view as the season was going on, I think he learned a lot. His shot is a lot quicker. He's not hesitating on some of those things. He's still got to shoot it at a better percentage. He's done a good job now of, our offense is going to be back-to-back now with the same kind of concepts that we did last year, so he's got a better feel for that. He's an elite athlete. He's an elite competitor. He's an elite young man, so all those things defensively. But, again, Dom, too, I'll say this in fairness to Damari. Like, I'm always going to support our guys' happiness. When you can make seven figures, when you can make 6 figures,
that's real, correct? From what you're hearing from some players that are getting that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I say, I don't know if people believe me. You're in it, so that's what that's what players are getting.
It's not. I would say numbers and I would say names, but that's not fair to that name.
Yeah.
The number would be fair. I have zero problem saying that, but I don't want to. And these are guys that just left as Bison.
Yep.
Okay. So that is real, and we talk about it. You talk about transparency. We talk even in the recruiting process now, Dom. Like we talk about after the season, there's going to be 3 conversations that are going to happen, and I think I probably told you this, Dom. We just based on X, Y, and Z, we don't think you're trending as a Bison. It's time for you to move on. How can we help you, Dom? We think you're trending as a healthy Bison. A Summit League competitor. We see a future for you here developing with us. There's probably some now as we're moving forward. There's some compensation things that we can work towards here. Hey, let's hope and want you to stay. And then that third piece is hey, Dom, you're just too damn good. In my right mind as a father and as a coach, it's not right for you to stay here. And that's just it. I got into it like this is who I am. I'm an idiot. But one of our high school kids that we've got committed right now. I got into it with his dad, and he's like, you've got him for 4 years, and I just said, stop. No, he's like, no, I don't like this and the loyalty. Okay, I said, stop. I said, say your son comes in here and just hypothetically starts for 2 years, and after his second year, someone's going to pay him $500,000, and you can just see on the other end the dad go, oh, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, right? And so. I've made a choice. I'm gonna love these guys. I'm gonna serve them. I'm gonna discipline them. I'm gonna hold them accountable as long as they're with us, and that's in life, in the classroom, and on the court. But I'm not naive, Dom. And again, like I hate this, but it's part of it. Is some of these things are starting to happen to Bison football. And you and I've said this.
We've been down this road before. Yeah.
I think it wakes up some people too. Like and when you're playing, our staff is playing. Pickup noon ball with some of the football assistants, right? I'm sure that's real good basketball. And they're like, oh, this has got to change, and agents and all this. And, Jones is looking at these guys going, yeah, welcome to our world.
Right,
the last
we've
3
been dealing
years.
with for a while on that.
I'm not into excuses, right? Nope. We need to roll out on November 3rd a product that's going to be competing for Summit League championships. How we get there, who we do it with is going to be a little bit different. But I'm gonna challenge you and all the listeners. You hear this, oh, it's hard. Well, life is hard, okay? And this isn't going anywhere. And there's 4 things that haven't changed and will never change: the N, the D, the S, and the U. So you want to get behind something. Get behind a department, a program, a university that does things the right way with the right people.
I'm interested. I think you told Sam Getzinger this yesterday when he was up at practice that the way you played last year isn't necessarily going to be the way you play this year with the 3-point, the bombs away Bison kind of deal. That was how we built the team in 24-25. The 25-26 team may look vastly different. I think defensively you want to look vastly different than you did last year.
Yeah, and that's been the fun part for me. It really has. It's been uncomfortable, right?
So you're building it every year differently, correct?
And I mean it now. Are we going to throw the ball up the floor and play in the first 7 seconds of a shot clock offensively? Maybe once in a while, but not consistently. Are we going to go and trap, or are we going to or press or play zone for 40 minutes? No. But like offensively, you will see the same scheme, but now you're putting in different parts to that scheme, the Jimmies and the Joes have changed a little bit, and so we got to find ways to play to those strengths, and it looks very similar right now. We need to see how some guys are going to be able to execute and shoot it, and under the lights and some of those things. What you will see a big difference is defensively.
Mm-hmm. You weren't happy with that last year.
I was not happy with that. No, but also it's a day and age where, and this is my opinion, and people can listen. I think the individual basketball player is better, right? There is so much playing. There is so much individual workout coaches and all those things that guy is better. Now, I don't necessarily believe the game is better. There's not a whole bunch of multiple pass possessions. There's not a whole bunch of different guys touching it and those things. So, we're going to make a conscious effort to go get you a little bit and be more active. And I do anticipate a little bit our offense could take a step back. I mean, we were elite last year, top 5 in the country. But so we've got to find different ways to get back to there. I think part of that will be, can our defense create some offensive opportunities for us?
Let's break. We come back. I want to talk a little bit more about the construct of the team and the schedule. You're really talking schedule with me. I know that. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Much more on Hot Mic. Dave Richman in studio. We're back after this. All right, welcome back. Dave Richman joining us here in studio. Fair warning here, 2 weeks from today, we're in Sioux Falls, so we're going to do this again. Do you know that?
Media Day?
Yeah. I hate to ruin your schedule or your day already, but we're going to do this again in a couple weeks' time.
Anytime I can spend more time with you, Dom.
I knew you were going to say that.
This is not ride together. I don't need
Boy,
that.
though, that would be a deal. So last time you were here, you had almost the whole roster was done. You had to add a couple more. You did. You added a guy from Finland. Give me Emil Skuta's backstory and how did it, because he played the last couple of years at Sacramento State. How did you get him to come to Fargo?
So, and then Wes just told me, ironically, yesterday, this is the first international kid that I've coached here too. Again, you talk about the uncomfort and all that, but it's been great. Emil is not. From my perspective, it's not like this is his first year,
right?
On U.S. territory.
And this is his third different college basketball team.
Correct. But it's just, again, it's just happen chance. It's the portal, and Josh Jones, doing his homework, and really, really excited about Emil. And I think Emil is excited about us, where you have an unbelievably athletically gifted young man. I mean, looks like $1 million, can jump out of the gym, can move really well. Had an opportunity to play in the university games for Finland, his home country, really cool. But yet, what Emil can bring some of those things to us, and it's kind of like our premise of our program is servant leadership. We want to make you better, right? So you can make us better, vice versa. Well, if Emil's smart, which he is, there's a lot of little details that he can become a better basketball player with. He needs to shoot it better. He needs to take better care of the ball. He needs to understand some things defensively, some concepts there. And so what we can't teach, size, length, athleticism, he brings. What we can teach, some of the skills that he doesn't have yet, and you blend that together. It's going to take him some time.
Yeah.
Markai Strickland is another one of those guys. I mean, an absolute Trayvon Wright freak athlete, Dom. Wait till you see this young man. And the length to guard so many positions and be so active, and he is going to live on the rim, right? Dale's going to be needing to paint those rims all the time from Markai. But yet goes 1,000,000 miles an hour and just some things like that. And so it's been fun. You can start to see little moments in practice now from these guys, and they're picking it up on, and that's all we ask.
And he actually, Scuda went to Central Michigan with Max Marley.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that they were together.
But that's awesome, too.
Yeah.
Like that sped it up. That makes the click point for me. Jones is like, hey, I'm recruiting this kid, and you're starting to do the vetting process. You're going through it, and all of a sudden, hey, he was roommates with Max.
Yeah.
Boom. Now I can call Max.
Yep.
Like, we can tell from the most part what kind of basketball player they are.
You can evaluate that.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can look at numbers.
Yep.
You can look at all kinds of video and all those things. But as you know me, like from yesterday until hopefully deep into March, I'm going to be with these guys pretty much 24/7. And I'm not going to be around a lot of Jack, And so we want to vet that, right? We want to make sure they're good people, good citizens. They're going to bring Bison pride to our program. And Emil, Markai, Max, they all do those things to a high level.
I'm interested when you look at how they construct this. When did you get a sense? Now you've done this for the portal of adding guys, because Mike and I were talking before you came on. With football coaches are saying, well, it used to be 3 games we knew. Now it's about 5 or 6. In basketball, when did you get a sense? Okay, I know what kind of team I have.
Yeah, I always say, Miles used to talk about a junior college kid. You're going to get about 1.5 years out of a junior college kid. I go back to last year where we get beat at Bakersfield, and I left that game going.
A game you had a pretty good lead in late in that game too.
And then we go to Santa Clara and we're getting our butts kicked, but you can start to see some things. And you can ask Josh Jones this. I turned over and I said, and I thought we were going to get beat at the time. And I said, buddy, I think we're getting closer. I can kind of feel it. And he's like, yep, coach, I know exactly what you mean. They're trying, they're bought into these things. And we flipped that one. And obviously, we went on. But I would even, that's a long number for football. 5 games trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
I would say that 6 to 8 game mark is really, even now, Dom, we've got 14 kids on the roster. There's 12 of them that we are going to really, really have a pretty good idea that we're going to be vetting for the next 42 days. That I think in some way, shape, or form could contribute. 12 is too much of a number, right, to play. So, I would assume, by X time, we're going to be 8-9-man rotation. That's good. That's a really cool. I challenged the guys Sunday night again. I said we need to be healthy, desperate competitors. You need to look at these guys in the room and say, hey, these are my teammates, but these are also my brothers. And brothers fight a little bit. They compete against each other. And, when you have a healthy environment of that, man, that's development, that's growth.
We picked a couple spotlight games on the schedule. We're going to bring up a graphic here of who you got. You're opening with Oregon State. How did that come about? Wayne Tinkle for a bit?
I've not really known Wayne, and in fact, I've never really spoken to him. I didn't speak to him. Jonesy handles the scheduling, and so it's.
So when he comes to you with Oregon State, how would you feel about that one?
Yeah, but yes, and I say yes right away because we need damn games.
I know you do.
And that's part of it. I still go back to when Luke Strachey got back here a couple years ago. He's like, and we're talking scheduling with him, and he's like, we need to schedule some wins. I'm like, Luke, we need to make a schedule here, and I think he's found that out a little bit too. But there's some parameters of. You want to play a high major. We need some money games, so this is one of those, and the dates work. There's just so many things that go into scheduling, and I've heard it right. You're not playing Duke, Carolina, Louisville, and Kentucky in the first week, and all those things. Like trust me, like some of those people just told us no. Right.
Yes.
And then you just can't afford from a budget standpoint, from a guarantee standpoint, to do those things, and. It's just all part of scheduling.
Southern Illinois coming here is a big deal because for basketball fans that know the Missouri Valley Conference, they don't go on the road to other mid-majors.
Yeah, and I'm going to pound my fist here, Dom. This is a really big freaking game.
Yeah.
And people need to get behind this. Yep. And you can say, let's separate some things here. Southern Illinois football and how Bison football has beat them. Okay, but this is different.
Yep.
I have a pretty good idea of what their NIL budget is. I have a pretty good idea of what the Missouri Valley is. Right. And this is a big game. Like people wanting us to get K-State back or whatever. Like, hey, help us out. Give us $150,000, $200,000, and we'll do those things. But because of our location, because of our successes, because of some of these, it's really hard to get these quality opponents. And you could probably ask Scott Nagy if it was his choice when we took this game, he wouldn't be coming at all.
Nope.
We followed up and tried to get Illinois State back, a team that had beat us twice in a row. They're like, yeah, you're on the list, but you're way down the list. So, we need to get more butts in the seats, Dom.
Yep.
And
how I feel about that.
I'm adamant about these things, and I'm sick and tired of hearing about different excuses. And everybody's got an excuse. Let's get behind this group. This is a really fun group. I hope you hear that in my voice, but I also I hope you hear the challenge, the encouragement to come out and be part of a beautiful facility, a great product. There's all kinds of the beers and the burgers and the hot dogs. There's a lot of things. And, marketing and we have another meeting, tomorrow. We're to get some student section stuff going and to do some things like that. But, man, we need some butts in the seats, and we need some people actually, I take that back. We need some feet in the shields. I don't want people with the butts in the seats.
You want them standing up.
We don't want spectators. We want fans.
Well, and Jory saw that, and I'm sure you did as well. The WNIT run, that place was packed. It was great. It was loud, and that's what you've experienced that at certain times as well. It can be loud. It can be a great environment in that building.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it can be a great environment. It needs to be a great environment. And I understand, this is an epidemic across the college basketball, mid-majors, and we go to a lot of gyms. But, listen, I'm not into excuses.
Yeah.
And I need to be better. We all need to be better. But we need to be creative and figure out ways to engage and get people to a game. And then, the term I heard is create an atmosphere, create an experience worth repeating.
Yeah.
So every time we play a game, there's probably going to be somebody new there. How do we engage that person enough to bring them back
have them
come back and you get something special rolling?
I do have to ask on the
I
conversation.
Sound like Tim Paul's
it was pretty
right
good.
Now, don't
that was
I?
pretty good.
Yeah.
The conversation you had with Hendo on the Drake game, how did that go on getting that game on the schedule?
So it started with Clink.
Yeah.
We were recruiting this summer. He's like, no. And I said, Rob, listen, you don't want to play us. We don't want to play you. But same thing, right?
Yep.
They need to play.
They need a game.
They need to play games. And then all of a sudden.
Tell me they're coming here. Can you make that happen?
No, I can't. They're paying us to go there.
All right, that's good. That's you know what?
Yep.
That's good. You got to have those too.
Yep. So then Clink followed up and he said, "Hey, do you still have X date?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Where are you at?" He goes, "Listen, I'm not going to mess around." And in fact, it really bent because we were going back and forth with this team that said, "Yes, we're in." Then they would never send again, this is just full transparency of scheduling. We had committed to school X. All right, send us a contract. We're ready to roll. Well, they never sent us. They said we're in, but they never sent a contract. So the thing happened. I said, all right, Hendo, Clink, let's do this. But send it now. And he goes, yep. Part of it helps because there's a relationship there. There's trust. And then all of a sudden that other school follows back up. We're like, no.
We got something. Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you can't sit
got
around
lost
and
in
wait
the mail,
around.
right? Yeah. Last thing, by the way, I wasn't expecting to spend my New Year's Eve with you, but that's the conference opener with South Dakota, so that'll be awesome. We get to ring in the new year together.
I can't wait to hear your New Year's resolutions.
Nobody likes to hear that.
Yeah.
We got to roll. Another former Bison's coming on. Steve Laqwa's coming on here.
Steve Laqua, he's doing a great job over
pretty
there.
Pretty good. The Dragons are
I know
doing
they had a tough
job.
one on Saturday, but I'm a big fan of Steve and his family.
It's great to see you, man. Thanks as always for doing this. I think our viewers love having you on. Can we do an on-air production meeting? Can we get you back again for your weekly visits during the season?
Let's go.
Can we commit to that?
I'm in.
Let's
I'm
do
in.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
Bam. Dave Richman
look
joining
at
us here in studio. We will see him in 2 weeks' time down in Sioux Falls for Summit League Media Day. We'll break. Our guy Steve Laqua coming up. Dragons got a biggie with Duluth. We'll preview that when we come back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Quick Moving Tuesday show rolls on. Our thanks to Dave Richman for being in studio. That's always great stuff there. Get us ready for the basketball season. They're already start practice. We're going to be talking hoops before we know it. Get ready for another busy weekend of college football. Dragons are going back on the road this weekend to take on Minnesota Duluth, which means we're joined by our guy Steve Laqua. He joins us each and every Tuesday at 10:30. Did you make somebody mad at the NSIC office? You went to Duluth last year. Now you got to go back? What's that about?
I think they've only been to our place once in about the last 5 years, the way the schedule has just changed around. And, we've lost some teams out of the league.
Right.
We've added teams, so we've had to kind of constantly start this schedule 2-year cycle over and over. Well, and it seems like every 2-year cycle we either don't play or we're playing there. So is what it is. It's all right.
Give us the lowdown. We were just visiting off air. Tough loss on Saturday in a game where you got dominated in the first half. Describe what changed at halftime and getting the momentum back where you had a chance to potentially win the game Saturday.
Well, I think, obviously we did not get off to a very good start in any of the phases of the game. And I think when you get down early, things aren't clicking. You're not playing well early, especially through the first quarter into the second quarter. You can kind of feel this frustration, this negativity. I think everybody's been there in life, whether it's sports or not. And there's this kind of this vortex of negativity that you can get caught in. And the equivalent that I talked to our team about yesterday, for lack of a better example, it's like peeing in the pool. Yeah, that might not affect you, but it's affecting everybody around. And so everybody's frustration collectively is causing some problems. And so we needed to make sure that we got that cleaned up. I don't know that we did a good job in the first half. I certainly did not become a good pool cleaner and get in there. Now at halftime, I think we got reset. We were able to talk about some of the themes of the week. One of them was, having the attitude of like your pet dog. When you come home every day, no matter how your day was, no matter what, you come through the same door, same time, that dog is excited to see you. And so we need to treat the second half like that, every series, every play. Let's not care how the first half went. And I think our guys did a great job of bouncing back, kind of resetting there. And so I think those were some good things culture-wise, leadership-wise that we had. Guys came out. We played a resilient second half, battled our way back into the game. We get ourselves in position. We get a stop with under 4 minutes to go. And that's where I made a critical error. I said, one of my jobs as a football coach is to coach a human spirit. Hey, at halftime, I think I did a good job of that. Got a reset, got us going. One of my other jobs is to stack the deck in our favor and make good decisions that give us the best chance of winning. And so earlier in the game, we went for 2. Hey, it didn't work out, but had it done it, we increased our percentages of winning before we get to overtime, if we get to that point. Nope. Well, I made a call to go for the block punt. I felt like we had the look we wanted. We had the look all week. We felt like we've got the guys in position. We can change the game with the punt block. We got to that point, made that call. We get a running into the punter. Hats off to our guys. We called to go for the block. They went all in. The dogs went after it. They didn't kind of halfway out and say, oh, they went in, and you know what? We got called. It was a roughing the punter instead of running into. Hey, that is what it is. In hindsight, do I look back and go, hey, that maybe didn't stack the deck in our favor? Should have pulled off with that call. Should have said, hey, let's just take our chances. We haven't been great offensively, but we'll take the ball in our hand. 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go with a shot to win. Yeah, probably. And so as a coach, I think every leader's got scars. Those are scars that you have. Some heal faster than others. This one would take a while. At the end of the day, don't get that luxury to let it take a while to heal. Hey, we're on to Duluth. We got to go. I got to be up. I got to make sure that I've let it go and that our team can be our best going forward for this week's game.
Was there something, Steve, that Wayne was doing defensively that really put a crink in things offensively? I guess I've asked going forward, is that something, everything's copycat, that they're going to look at, Duluth's going to say, okay, well, that really affected them offensively. We've got to do that.
Well, they definitely, 2 years in a row, they've seemed to get us with the same type recipe a little bit, using our rules against us a little bit. We were off and didn't play great. So you add that into, now they did a great job. Their linebackers are some of the best that are in the league. They cover a lot of ground. They get depth. They go side to side. And so they were able to get pressure with 3 guys, cover a lot of the intermediate space with linebackers, and then layer 4 defensive backs over top. And so it really shrunk windows, never gave us easy throws to get into a rhythm. Now, we didn't play very well either. There's some things that we could have done better. That could a couple easy things that had we got or taken, you get into a little bit of rhythm. If you get into a rhythm, then it moves them out of their plan. But if you're not affecting their plan, they're going to stay in it until you make them change it. And we didn't do anything that really made that happen. And so, we're definitely aware of it. We've got to be better. There's some things we've looked at and talked about that, we're going to have ready in the future.
When you meet with the guys after the game, knowing you were just talking about trying to go for the block punt and didn't get it, how is that something you say right out? Hey guys, I didn't coach the best there and didn't give us an opportunity. How do you address the guys? I guess what I'm asking afterwards.
That's exactly what I said. I said to them, at the end of the day, there's some things that we've got to play better. I'm really proud of the resilience. I'm proud of the things that we talk about, the non-football things, how great they were. I say, you know what? I made a critical decision that was not the best decision for our team, and that's on me. And I did. I thanked the guys that were on the pump block team to go all in. They could have went like, what is coach talking about? What an idiot. We're not going to go for that. And but they were asked to do that. They felt like I'm putting them in the best position to make that play, and they went all in on it. And so you got to appreciate guys that'll do that, knowing that, hey, from the outside world, they're maybe getting looked at going, geez, why did you run into the punter? Why did you do it? Well, you know what? That was my job. My job was to go all in on the punt. I went all in. Hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's not very many punt blocks you get where you don't hit the punter. And so had we got a hand on the ball, no one probably cares, and everything's great. But hats off to our guys for having that. A senior, Mikhail Pearson, has been one of our best punt block guys over the course of the last 4 years. You know what? He took a good rip at it. Just didn't work out.
All right, tell us about Duluth, and it's the same old, same old. They're unbeaten. They're highly ranked. I have to think for the guys that were on the field last year, they'd love to see you guys after what happened at the end of the game last year.
Well, I'm pretty sure they would have this game circled. It's not a game that we're sneaking up on them or, whatever. They know that game didn't go very well. It was a walk-off win. It was an exciting win for us and for our program. And I think anytime you have a celebration like that on your field, it doesn't sit well. And so certainly there's going to be a sour taste still in their mouth. They're going to be a highly motivated team. They've been a buzzsaw so far this season going through teams, and they definitely want to be able to return the favor. And so our guys know that we're walking into a really difficult situation, but that's what college football is. That's what it is. That's the situation we're in. Let's go make things happen. And last year we came off a loss to Wayne and went to Duluth, picking ourselves up off the mat and found a way to win. And so we got to do the same recipe and figure out how to do it again this year.
You look at, I know there are no moral victories for you in your program. The last couple games before that, you lost by 5, you lost by 8. You've been right with them. And to get that win, what did that signify for your team last year? And then you can address that. I'm sure you have. Say, guys, we have the confidence. We went up there and did it last year.
Yeah, there's something to say about you're close. Yeah, but we're not there. You're close. Hey, and okay, so it can happen. It's like the Roger Bannister in the 4-minute mile. Nobody can do that. And then as soon as he does it, then you feel like you can. And so I think there is a little bit of a belief of that, very similar to the 4-minute mile of, okay, we've done it. Now let's see, can we continue to do it? And just because you do it once doesn't mean you're going to continue to do it, but hey, it can be done.
Did I read this correctly? The Gage Florence is already the all-time record holder for receptions now after what he did on Saturday?
He, I believe, is the all-time record holder for the conference.
Man.
He's that record. I don't follow that stuff closely, but I think he's 2 all-time in Division II with the chance to be able to set the all-time record. We'll see how the season goes. He's been a tremendous competitor, gritty player. He works so hard. You look at what he does. We've put him in the backfield this year. We've motioned him out of there. The amount of miles that kid runs through the course of a game is crazy. And he never quits. He's the ultimate competitor and team guy. And so hard work is what's got him to that point with a lot of great teammates. And so hopefully he can just continue to keep putting good games together, stack great days.
Is that, though, a recruiting story? Like, yeah, we think he can be good, but he totally blew away anything we thought once he got on the field.
I'm not sure if this the whole story actually makes me probably seems a lot dumber than I seem, but our take on him was we thought he could play both offensively and defensively.
Okay. We
felt like he would have a better career playing defense, and so we kind of gave him the option. We had different spots available. To be honest, we had a better scholarship available at DB. We said, hey, it's what it is. We have a smaller scholarship available at wide receiver. It's kind of in your court. And lucky for the Dragons, he decided he wanted to be a wide receiver, and it worked out. And so now maybe if he would have been a DB, he'd be that much better. I don't know. We'll leave that there, but I think probably unlikely that he would be at the place that he is right now as a wideout. So hats off. He believed in himself. And has worked harder than anybody that I've been around in tons of years of coaching. It's been awesome.
By the way, I neglected this until I saw the story in the forum a couple weeks ago that Shanley is rolling again. No surprise there. But last year they had their first losing record since 2008, which I believe was your second year at Shanley. I hope you gave Mattern a hard time about that because they all had winning seasons until that in 2023 or last year.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you're going with that. I thought you're like, well, let's just put your name on it. But the last time they've been this bad is when you coached them. So, hey, maybe you shouldn't have been coaching them. So, yeah, there's, there's part of that. That is they're battling, right? They're smaller school. They got to try and figure out how to battle. They've done a phenomenal job over years. And hats off to those guys. It's not going to work out every year, but they're stacking the deck in their favor, being better than they probably should be, outperforming resources.
My point was, though, when you did that in 2008, won, I think 2 games or 3 games, and then the next year you won the state championship. Like, what was it? Like, obviously players better. What was it that just clicked for you that following year to go from the bottom to the absolute top?
Well, a little bit was the change in class, right? Let's be straight. up about that of, playing in a class level is different. We had a good group of seniors. I mean, we had an NFL player. Nobody maybe knew it at the time. We had a couple Division II football players. Actually, we had about four of those. A couple Division I guys like in the waiting. So it was a very talented group that bought in, that committed. Now there wasn't really a belief because there'd never been winning. So I remember, sitting the seniors down when we were going to start the playoffs, and they were just shocked we made the playoffs. I'm like, well, we got to be thinking a little bit bigger than this here. Like we can actually do something. And, honestly, I remember it, but we went out to Dickinson Trinity. We got a great stop right before halftime, which would have been us. But we got the stop, and then Josh Rodemaker made a couple of phenomenal plays in the second half. But it was a game that we probably shouldn't have won. Honestly, you remember some of these things.
Yeah.
We went to 13 personnel in the second half. They didn't really have an answer for that, and we were able to move the football and get ourselves back in the game. So sometimes better to be lucky than good.
Is that when you think about those kind of wins and how they in relation to what you did in Duluth last year? Those are the ones that stay with you the longest. Like, man, that was how do we win that game?
There's definitely some that stand out for sure, and the one in Duluth was, again, going for two. It's a walk-off. You're going to win or lose. Well, was in the same situation of that in the state championship game. That you make the call, you take the headset off, and then in the next 30 seconds, you're going to be really happy or really sad, and you don't know how it's going to go, and it's a surreal feeling for about 30 seconds there. I think last year was a growth point for me. I took my headset off. Guys, I love them, and I was okay with however it turned out. I don't know if I was in the state championship game back then. I was like, you know what? I got a little perspective. These guys did everything we asked. They battled, they whatever. I'm not going to be defined, and I'm not going to view these guys any differently by how they turn out in this last play. And so, you know what? Hopefully we're all growing and getting better and seeing the big picture of what ultimately we're trying to do out there for not just now, but for the rest of life.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks as always for the time. Good luck on Saturday. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
There you go. Steve Laqua joins us each and every Tuesday at 10:30. Dragons and Duluth. MSU M1 on that walk-off last year. We'll see what happens coming up on Saturday. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. We got a great Sports Tuesday on tap. We'll get you ready for that when Hot Mike wraps on this Tuesday morning after this. All right, wrapping up our Tuesday Spectacular. Quick moving show today. Again, a reminder, tomorrow we got Bison Media Zone to get you ready for NDSU USD. And part of that, Travis Johansson, South Dakota head football coach, will join us tomorrow on the show. Looking forward to that coming up tomorrow at 10. We're in the works as well. I'm hopeful we're going to have former Bison standout, former NFL great, Super Bowl champion, and now soon to be Bison Athletic Hall of Famer Craig Dahl join us on the show later this week as well, to tell us the infamous story of the NFL Combine and the three-cone drill, because he set the record for the fastest three-cone drill ever in Indianapolis. So we're hopefully going to have that later on in the week. Looking forward to that. A couple other things here before we go and get to what to watch here. New York basketball, man. You either win the whole thing or you're done. Tibbs lost his job. The Knicks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Lost Indiana in 6. Tibbs out. The Liberty won the championship last year, and their head coach, Sandy Brondello, out. Liberty got beat in the first round. They lost on Friday night to Phoenix this year. They just won it last year. Dunzo. New York, man, win or else. I'm only saying that to Carlos Mendoza, manager of the New York Metropolitans with a $340 million payroll. You got to make the playoffs. This might be his last 6 days as manager of the Mets. With that, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, we got game 2 tonight. Target Center, Mercury and the Lynx. I did it again. I have it written down. We've teased it earlier in the show. Our high school games of the week we got covered up from Hawley and from DGF. Coverage begins at 7:30 tonight with Wadena Deer Creek and Hawley on Extra, Thief River, and DGF on WDAY2 tonight for high school volleyball on a busy Tuesday. Game 2, Lynx and Mercury coming up tonight, 6:30 on ESPN. Best of 5. Lynx lead the series 1-0 for the series. Will shift to Phoenix on Friday. We'll have highlights of that coming up on the show tomorrow. The Mets play the Cubs tonight, 6:30 on TBS. All I can tell you, the Mets have to win. The Pirates are playing the Reds. going to be a nervous night tonight. And the SEC football reveal for their 2026 schedule on the SEC Network tonight, 6 o'clock, if you are a football rube like myself. We got to roll. Our thanks to Steve Laqua, to Dave Richman, and to Mike McFeely. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Enjoy the weather, everybody. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.